Yo.
What's going on, you guys? I just wanted to have an episode on this podcast to give you a little bit more information about who I am and why I started the iPodcast. So just to give you a little bit of information about who I am, my name is Bryce France. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm a sports lifestyle portrait photographer based in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been a freelance photographer for about 3 years now. Moved to Atlanta 3 years ago from Valdosta, Georgia, which is kind of like a small town in South Georgia. Studied art there at Valdosta State for 4 or 5 years. But I was shooting before that too. I remember the first time I had a camera was during my dad and stepmom's elopement to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. My dad gave me what we didn't know we were going to go. They were eloping. We thought we were just going on vacation to Gatlinburg, but we ended up in this little chapel, and my dad gave me 2 disposable cameras and just told me to, have fun and just capture everything. Make sure, you get this is my first experience shooting and my first wedding. I love doing weddings now, but this is my first experience shooting and my first wedding. I ran through both of those disposable cameras before they could get to the I do's. I felt really bad, but my dad laughed it off. He's like, "It's okay, dude. I'm glad you had fun." And I remember that feeling. Like, I don't remember much from my childhood, but I remember that particular day and that feeling I was having with my disposable cameras. I mean, I was like getting in there, getting vertical, getting horizontal, getting low, just trying to find all the angles with a little disposable camera. And I'm like, I want to say like 7, maybe 6 or 7 at the time. But that moving forward from there, I've had little experiences up until college that really, it was the world telling me that photography was something that I was meant to be a part of. Yeah, I really wanted to make this podcast too. At the beginning, it was all about bringing on some mentors of mine, people I've assisted, people I've worked for, to help give information out to the creative community and the photo community. There were a lot of things, valuable lessons I learned from these people, valuable conversations I had with these people. And I felt like I didn't need to be the only person hearing these things that they were telling me. These people were awesome for being on the show and, giving out some of this valuable knowledge, valuable wisdom to me and to you guys. But after, I think, the 10th episode, which was with Ray, excuse me, we had to stop doing the podcast because it was kind of, as the pandemic was really ramping up and people were starting to lose work. I was definitely starting to lose work. I actually had like a really cool little gig for SI before they were doing some sort of dinner, and I was going to be able to shoot their dinner for the Final Four when they were. It's like normally when you have big things like that in the Super Bowl, you have like all these publications and stuff. They'll have like dinner parties and stuff. And I got asked to shoot that dinner for the Final Four for Sports Illustrated, and that was kind of a chance to actually do something with Sports Illustrated. It was a little test, but that was all taken away. But I started doing this podcast, and then as I started losing work, I really needed to take the time to focus on my photography business because that was the only thing that was really making me money at the time. I had, a family to support. My wife and I were living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Atlanta, and it got a little tough there at the luckily she has a great job as well, so we didn't, we weren't able to like pay rent and stuff we were able to pay rent and stuff like that, like get all the basic bills and stuff done. But I had to really start focusing on that. And, I stopped doing the podcast for a little bit. I stopped doing my phototherapy thing, which I can give you guys a little bit more information about towards the end of this. But, long story short, fast forward to about a month and a half ago, which is like, that's like October. I had the feeling of, I felt like I was able to get this going again. I guess maybe I should explain why it's called the I podcast first before I get into that. I just kind of felt like people always everybody has an I. Uh, and I think that's what's really unique about a lot of people is their I. When you see people making things that your jaw drops. You're on social media and you see things that you feel like nobody else other than this person can capture. That's just their eye. And I felt like, that made a little bit of sense to call it the I podcast, because I really wanted to get everybody's perspectives on, whatever topic we were talking about. It was, of course, it was a photography specific podcast, but now we're getting more general because I felt like there were a lot more people that I was working with in my career, a lot more, athletes and coaches and just unique friends that I have that have amazing, interesting stories, a lot of things to learn from. And, we transitioned from, being the eye of like a creative person to the eye of everybody. I mean, everybody has a unique point of view to the world, and I really wanted to bring those unique points of views to you guys. So I didn't want you guys to just learn about photography and all the technical, jargon BS, but just the human side of everything. There's a lot of there's a human thing that I get to experience every time I'm on a job or doing something with a camera that I just really wish I could find a way to share it. And this is kind of my way of sharing it with you guys. So why did I changed the format? I changed up the format after getting it going back in October because I was having a lot of conversations with people that I know. And one of the biggest things was a lot of the conversation was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to change the format to this podcast was because I was having a lot of conversations with friends who are in the industry that felt like there were things that were not getting talked about when it comes to like mental health, unfair pay, crazy hours, relationship issues. There were a lot of things that we were not discussing outside of, like just the technical side of things and the cool jobs. I mean, there are some really cool moments in our careers being, creative people, but we get to meet amazing people and we get to be at, amazing events and be around some awesome people. But there is a lot that goes behind the scenes that people don't really know about when it comes to us. Especially, being on social media a lot now with, that's how people know who we are when it comes to creatives. We share our work on social media, put up a little caption of what it was, maybe, how you were feeling during the time, but they don't talk about, not working for maybe a month or two because, just work slows down, or, the relationship problems that it causes because, especially in sports, you're talking like I remember working for MLB last year. I would go in on a game day around 3 to the stadium, and I wouldn't, if it was like a rain delay, sometimes I would come back maybe around like 1 or 2 in the morning. And if you're in a homestand too, when it comes to baseball, you're not coming back home till like 1 or 2 in the morning for like maybe 6-7 days straight, which is someone who likes to go to sleep early, that it hurt. Like I had a lot of health issues kind of arise around that time, and I had to become more aware of what I need to do to take care of myself. So yeah, that was some of the reasons why I really wanted to change up the format to this and start having these honest, open conversations with some creative people, and not just be so focused on the technical side of things and the good. There's a lot of good to be had when talking about things like mental health and personal fitness and personal relationships with people. A lot of the pre-calls that I have with these people are crazy. Like, we have to sometimes stop. We have to be like, hey, okay, we're going to save a lot of this for the podcast. Can we just, can we just wait till we start recording? Because there's just a lot to unpack here that I feel is very, very valuable to people listening. So yeah, that's basically in a nutshell why I wanted to get things going in a different direction, because, you know, us as photographers, we tend to be a little too technical. We tend to kind of use a lot of, the technical things as a crutch to communicate with, the people in our own community and people outside who maybe don't understand what we go through on a day-to-day basis. But this is a way for a lot of people to actually connect. I want this to be a way to see that, photographers are like other people. I mean, we're like musicians, we're like athletes in a way sometimes. I mean, everybody people who are interested in wanting to be, that was another thing too. I really, really wanted people that, excuse me, I really wanted younger photographers to take in this information big time, because if I would have known at the beginning of my career that this was what it's going to be like, I would have prepared myself a lot better. I would have definitely started working out more, staying hydrated, maybe taking some vitamins, like making sure that you are setting a lot of boundaries. That's huge. Setting boundaries is a huge thing that we've actually talked about in the episode with John Wiley, and we've actually brought it up in a couple other episodes, and I'm sure we're going to keep bringing it up, because it's setting boundaries, especially as a younger photographer and a younger creative, that really kind of sets the tone to actually have a little bit more of a successful career path. So yeah, and just to, I guess, dig a little bit more into the phototherapy thing that I was talking about earlier, I started actually working with some people at the top of COVID, because it was a time where people literally were losing jobs, and they had nobody to talk to. Some people were very, very isolated when all the lockdowns started happening. So I started reaching out to some people that I knew to just kind of give it a test run. So basically, it is using photography in a means. It's kind of like art therapy. If anybody's ever gone through art therapy, you're using photography as a tool to kind of unlock things that you're not aware of. If you're struggling with mental health issues, if you're struggling in a relationship, you're struggling in all different types of ways. I felt like I found a way to use photography to help people, better understand what's going on, and maybe some ways that we can start looking at the world a little bit better, so that we can start kind of fixing these things. I'm not saying photography is the tool that fixes everything for these people. It's just this tool that really helps open the door to what is possible. What, like, the positive. There's a not a pessimistic outlook, but much more optimistic outlook when it comes to using photography as a tool to unlock that. So, basically, I'll have these consultations with people to kind of get a sense of where they are, what kind of goals they want to achieve using photography. And then I kind of just give them weekly challenges. And each week, they'll say, like, mainly the first week is just setting a precedent, getting used to taking pictures, and then talking about them. And then we come back a week later, we'll discuss the work that you've taken, we'll look through them together. And then it's not like it's like that. It doesn't pick up. You don't you don't really pick up on anything until, a couple weeks in, because you want to kind of see things unfold. You want to catch these tendencies that people have through their images. And, for example, one person in particular that I was working with, I was catching on to this idea that she had about editing her images in black and white. And I'm not going to say that's like everybody's different. that's why it's really, really important to take the time to get to know, ask questions, and, use your time to catch on to these things, because, somebody editing their pictures in black and white means something completely different, in another case. But with her, we caught on that black and white images were kind of these, she was not having a really good week if I was seeing a lot of black and white images. So we break that down even further. We start looking into, what is she capturing in these frames? How we noticed that she was isolating herself a lot more. She wasn't really going on walks. A lot of things were kind of coming from her apartment, and again, not just her apartment, but like from one spot sometimes. And once we get to opening that door, we started to kind of, okay, like I'm going to challenge you to go out and go outside, take walks. You know, let's capture some color. Or we started catching on to the color yellow. The color yellow was like a color that was awakening some happy emotions with her. So we kind of set another goal or another challenge to, okay, let's just focus on the color yellow this week. She ended up going on like a trail, and there were these yellow trail markers, and she was shooting along this trail, and we came back and she was like, yes, she was reaffirming what I thought, like this is what she needed to kind of get out of her rut. Unfortunately, I had to stop working with her and everybody else. Again, going back to what I was talking about, I had to start focusing on my photography career. But I'm actually going to start building this out so that I can actually bring in more people who are interested in doing this. Probably looking to hopefully launch. It's going to be on my website. I'm going to probably launch it, I want to say close to February, because I feel like it's a really cool way. It's a really unique way of having some fun. Actually, like a lot people, I'm not saying that you have to be a professional photographer to do this. Like some of the people that I was working with were using their cell phone, and that's totally fine. Some amazing things came out of people just using their cell phone. So I'm not asking you to be a professional photographer. I'm asking you to just have fun, capturing things, and let's learn a little bit about yourself and ways that we can actually start seeing the world a little bit more optimistically. So yeah, that's just a little bit about, who I am, why I got this podcast going again. You'll start to see some really amazing conversations here soon. We're going to start doing some more in-person podcast episodes, which I'll put on YouTube. And of course, the audio will be on most podcasting platforms and stuff like that. But I'm really looking forward to you guys listening more. And if you haven't, please subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on the podcast listening platform that you use. And I promise you'll be interested to hear some of these conversations I have with people, and I'll start breaking them down into smaller bits too, so that I know that they're long, but they're meant to be long, because if you're having a conversation for 30 minutes, you're not going to get much out of it. If I have a 3-hour conversation with somebody, I know that it was a good conversation because we're opening up back and forth, spilling our truths, and I'm learning a lot from these people. That's one thing too that I want to make sure people understand when I'm doing this podcast is I'm not, whatever I say, any opinions that I put out there, I know I'm young and dumb. A lot of these people are kind of mentors to me, and I'm learning from them. That's how we all are. We're all, every friend that we have, every relationship we have with a human being, we're learning something from them, good or bad. But a lot of these people that I bring on are, friends, people I've been around that I know have something to say, something, I maybe never heard before. And there's always a time after the podcast where I'm just like, yesterday I was just recording one with a friend of mine, Lennox, and I drove home with the radio off and just was thinking about everything we talked about, and the perspective that she brought to the conversation was maybe, a little bit more unique that to my perspective. So it helped me kind of see things a little bit more clearly. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing this podcast more often. Please subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about it so far. I promise it's going to get better. This is so unique, or it's so different for me because I hate being in front of the camera and I don't really like people hearing my voice, but I'm totally willing to do it so that people can learn something new, and have something to, just be better. You'll hear a lot of ums and you'll hear a lot of likes. I'm working on that. This is raw. This is, you're hearing me try to get better at this for you guys. I promise it will get better. But if you can get past that, I promise there's going to be some amazing conversations you guys can take something from every time. So thanks, guys, for tuning in, and looking forward to putting some more podcasts in your ears.
What you gonna play now?